I am here and I am beyond grateful to be here as always. Like I'm always grateful just to be able to, like I always say, I'm always grateful to be able to spend my mornings with you guys, right? There's no, in my mind, there's really no better way to be able to get the day started, right? To be able to attack the day. Obviously, we all know there's going to be so many different trials and tribulations, things that we're going to have to respond to, react to. There's going to be all those things, right? But here in my mind, like this just helps us get on the right, make sure we're approaching the day with the right energy, approaching the day with the right mindset. So I can never express enough gratitude. But what I want to talk about today, right, is I want to talk about significance. Okay. And I want to talk about overcoming the significant feeling of feeling insignificant, right? Because sometimes, you guys, we feel like the choices we make are super small, that they don't mean anything. Sometimes we feel like we may not be worthy, right, of whatever may come on the other side of those choices, on the other side of that discipline, on the other side of getting through the hard, right? Sometimes we feel like we're not worthy. And today, you guys, I'm talking about this from a couple different points. But when I'm speaking today, and this is what I'm so grateful for as well, right? Whenever I'm getting the opportunity to speak, I get the opportunity to reflect on myself, right? So a lot of times, guess what? I'm talking to myself in certain areas as well. So with this and everything that I'm talking about, it's either I have gone through, I have been through, or I am going through, right? So with that, the first thing I do want to be able to mention, right, as we're talking about overcoming, right, the significant feeling of feeling insignificant, is that we feel like we need to overcome that feeling, you guys, but we've never actually been insignificant at all, right? Number one, I want to tell each and every one of you, right, that we are all fearfully and wonderfully made. So we are here for a reason. We are significant to certain people in our lives, right? To this company, we're significant to our family, our friends, right? Our significant other, our kids. And we need to learn how to be able to show up in that way because sometimes we go through certain things in our past, right, that make us feel smaller than we actually are at the end of the day. In reality, that's not true. There have just been walls that have been put up around us that have made us feel that way. There have been things that may have been planted in your mind that really just aren't true. And you need the opportunity to be able to step in and come closer to your actual self, which is your significant self, the one that can go out there and impact people, the one that can go out there and change the direction of your family or change the narrative of your last name. And for symmetry, that symmetry has given me the opportunity to be able to do that in so many different ways, right? A lot of you guys know my backstory, so I'm not gonna hop into that all that much. But I came right for changing right what the narrative was for my last name and where I grew up and growing up right in a household right where it was super negative, right? And everybody in there felt like they were insignificant, and the choices they made reflected that at the end of the day because they didn't see what it will do to their future, right? They just felt like at the end of the day, man, it doesn't really matter. It's just I'm just affecting myself. It's just I'm the one dealing with the consequences. It's not hurting anybody else at the end of the day. In reality, it's not, right? Because there are people for everybody on this call. You are important to somebody. Somebody is looking at you. You are either building something, and sometimes we get broken down just to get the opportunity to be able to be built back up. So the question is what are you going to do with that, right? So I was thinking about this, and I have some notes here that I wrote down, but I was thinking about this, right? So sometimes, right, we may not think about right if we're insignificant or significant or not, but sometimes in our mind, right, subconsciously we may think something else, but really we're like, man, no, I feel like I'm significant. So if we feel like that, then why do the choices that we make show something else, show as if we feel like we are not? And what do I mean by that? There's some little things, right? I'm just gonna relate it to this business, right? When you come in here, this business is hard, right? We know the system. You know you have to go out there and put the work in at the end of the day, right? And you have to be able to get through that learning curve. And we choose not to. We choose not to engage. We choose not to have our camera on. We choose not to reach out. We choose not to ask for help. We choose not to go to conference, right? There's so many different little things that we feel like are really small and insignificant choices that hold so much power. Because when I think about it again, right, as I was thinking about this, then I was like, man, maybe it's not that we don't realize the power in our choices. Maybe it's just who we look at ourselves as, right? What identity are we speaking over ourselves at the end of the day? Do we believe we can actually come in here and be that next agency owner? Do we believe that we can come in here and actually be that next 130? Or even looking past that, do we genuinely believe that we actually have the power to be able to go out here and accomplish the goals that we set for ourselves and change what we want to be able to change in our family, right? We ran away from something to run to something, but we don't actually do anything with it because of the things that we believe about ourselves sometimes. And then I'm thinking about those things, right? I was reflecting on my journey, and I remember coming in and I was told to do little things, right? Like record your dial sessions, record your appointments, right? And what can that lead to, right? So come down, I want you guys to come down this path with me, right? If you're trying to get through that learning curve, and again, we think these things are so small, but in reality, they're not. All right, so you're going through your learning curve. Your mentor says, record your dial sessions because you're struggling with something, whether it's you're struggling with overcoming objections, you're struggling with your lockdown, maybe you're struggling with your appointment process, maybe you're terrible at underwriting, you're just not asking the right questions, right? Hey, record those things. And we choose not to. So we continue to struggle with the same thing day after day after day. And then we get this thought that is put in our head like, man, can I even do this? Can I even do this? Is this the right thing for me? When in reality, it's not so much as if you can do this, you're not even doing the things to give yourself the opportunity to do this business, right? You're not either putting enough work in or you're not being a student of the game. We had a amazing training call, right? I got the opportunity to be able to interview a woman named Stacy Love. And she, like when she was going through her journey, she was like, man, I was a student of the game. I was up like on my off time, I had all the objections written down on little post-it notes. I was listening to different SoundClouds. Like I had to figure this out. So I was willing to do those things. And I'm like, man, whenever I hear somebody, right, that's in a position that I want to be in, or they're doing the thing that they want to do in this company, right? I hear those similar traits, right? They became a student of the game and they did what it took. So let's say you did record those. Now you're able to get through that learning curve faster, right? Because you're able to identify, all right, where am I messing up? Where are my opportunities of growth? What were the blind spots that I was missing that I didn't even realize, right, I was missing. And you're able to overcome that in a matter of a day, a week, maybe a couple weeks, opposed to feeling stuck, right, and not doing anything about it. But that's how significant, right? Just taking those two paths. I decided not to do that for my first 4 months in the business, and I ate dirt for the first 4 months for my first 4 months in the business. We all have the choice to dictate how fast we're able to move in this business, but it's going to come down to you, right? And the choices that you make, and you just have to realize how powerful those choices are at the end of the day. So again, sometimes I'm torn a little bit between is it not realizing the power in our choices, or is it just us feeling like we are not worthy of having those things? And sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's both in my mind. But for you, I want you guys to be able to do this. I want you guys to be able to do this exercise here. I want you guys to be able to write this down. Number one, I want you guys to be able to take some time. If you've heard me speak before, you know I'm really big on reflection, right? In my mind, a lot of personal development in my mind starts with you just sitting with your own thoughts and talking to yourself and talking it out, talking through the traumas. Like, man, I went through this in life. Why? And then how did it actually affect me? Right? It's time to actually start to uncover some of those things. So I want you to ask yourself, number one, where is it that you want to go? Where is it that you want this business to take you? What is it? What is the life that you're looking to actually be able to live? What does that look like? What is that ideally, what does that look like for you? The second thing I want you to write down, the second question is, what has been stopping you? What has been holding it? What is it that's been holding you back? Is it that, and for me, this is what it was for me for a long time, right? Is it that there's just a laziness there, right? Where you don't even care to try to be intentional? Is it some trauma that you had went through in the past that is making you believing something about yourself that is just really not true? Or is it just simply a lack of importance in what you say you want, right? What you say you want is really not important to you at the end of the day. Like what is holding you back from having that sense of urgency to be able to go out there and make it happen? And the third thing, and this is going to be the last thing, what is it that you have to do today not to get that thing, but just to make sure you're on track to get that thing? Because a lot of times we feel like, man, if I make this decision today, I'm going to have what I want. And then we don't have it by tomorrow or next week or next month, and we're like, man, that didn't work. Well, I'm giving up. It didn't work. I'm giving up. In reality, it's not true. Things take time. Things take time to obtain. Things take time to build upon because that's how worth it is at the end of the day. And honestly, you guys, for those three questions, when it comes to reflection, you need to be reflecting pretty often, right? If not, I go through and reflect at least once or a couple times throughout the week, constantly reflecting on my day, constantly reflecting on my week. Are my actions aligning not just with the words that I am saying, but the things that I feel like I am chasing? And one thing I want to make you guys cautious of, just to be able to bring it back around to what I was talking about with overcoming that feeling of insignificance, is that if you take this time to be able to reflect, you have these conversations with yourself and you let yourself down by not following through, that is where that feeling of insignificance comes from. That's where that feeling of, man, I don't think I can do this. Not because it doesn't work, it's just because you didn't work. And in my mind, that's why we have so much power in ourselves, in our choices, and that's why we are so significant, because every choice that we make is going to dictate, every choice we make in the present is going to dictate our future. And it may not just affect ourselves, it is going to affect all those around you at the end of the day. So with that, I want to be able to end off with reading this one thing because everybody here has the opportunity just to be able to take this no matter where you're at in the business, right? No matter where you're at in life, and to be able to, you're giving you always, and that's the beautiful part about symmetry in my mind. Here you have the power to always be able to start anew again. So I want to read this here real fast to you guys because I was just reflecting and I was thinking because sometimes a lot of times we feel like when a door closes or something doesn't work out, that's the end of it, and that's not really the case. So I want to read this here for you real quick. It ended so you could start again. It failed so you learn to try again. It broke you so you got a chance to build again. Every ending is the start of something better. You just didn't know it yet. And some endings feel like punishment, but time always reveals the truth. They were transitions in disguise. The loss, the failure, the silence, they weren't working against you. They were working to be able to wake you up. So with that, Jim, keep it short today. That is what I got.
I love it, man. What a good call to reflect, the thing that stood out to me so much, which I'm guilty of in so many ways and areas of my life, and I put this over in the comments. You mentioned that things take time, and I've heard this quote from so many different people that we will often overestimate what we can do in a short period of time, but we underestimate what we can do in compounded long periods of time. Every single one of you, I can about promise that you are going to be further behind than you want to be even a year from now. You're going to think 1 year, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and you're not going to do everything you wanted to do in that year, and you're going to be further behind. You're also 10 years from now going to be further ahead than anything you dreamed possible. You're going to overestimate where you're going to be in the short term. You're going to underestimate what you're capable of in the long term. If you stay consistent, keep your eye on the vision that Michael's calling you to have, continue to make progress, do something that's not achieving it, but that's making progress. As long as you are moving toward your goal and as long as you're getting closer, you're doing the right things. It's a good word today, man. Really, really appreciate that. All right, breakout rooms, boom, boom, are open. Let's rock and roll. Find your AO, jump into your breakout room. My group is hanging here, and for my group, sign-ups for July are open. You have to put your hand up for this level of coaching. I will never force anybody into it. It will be me coaching again. And I think you guys have probably learned in stylistic differences. Ashton is a much, much nicer person than I am. So, I hope you guys really appreciated Ashton's gentle style and his willingness to go deep. That ends. So if you put your hand up for July, I'm coming in hot. And it's going to be awesome and it's going to be challenging and it's going to be fun, but you got to put your hand up. You got to request it. You got to ask for it. I will put that sign up both on the Ninjas Group Me as well as the Larson Life Group Me. I will give it to the Master Agency AOs so that they can make sure that their people are signed up as well. So just be advised, if your name is not on that sheet by Saturday morning when Sid, my admin, puts the spreadsheets together, you're not on it in July. So if you want to be on it in July, make sure you get yourself on it in July. With that said, Ashton, the floor is yours, my friend.
Right. Perfect. And hopefully it was still recording when you said I'm nice. I don't think anyone's ever said that before, that I'm the nice one. So
I was actually recording. That is on record, Ashton.
yes,
And you know, it's all
finally.
relative. It's all relative. Maybe compared to some people, you're not nice. But in the bit that I've listened to you, I have thoroughly determined you are a much nicer person than I am.
Well, guys, as always, it's good